For me, is very clear this idea of outer court. This never actually existed before. I don't even know, the 80s maybe, or whatever it was that started the whole thing. Because I know that this is not traditional, and I know that this is not something that was done. Were you aware of anything like this before? I mean, was this, when I began to search for the craft, there was this already in place. So I know you know, but I also know that this was never done.
Yeah, I am not aware of anything prior. And in fact, a Gardnerian, rather well known in England, I had a conversation with this person, and they actually credited Alexander's really with the perpetuation of witchcraft, in the sense of, because Gardnerians were very closed, were very secretive, difficult to find, and the fact that Alex and Maxine initiated so many people kept the craft alive. So that right there, right, there's no outer court structure.
Right. That proves that there was no, yes. So I know for a fact that this was never in place with Alex and Maxine. And I know because what I received as a teaching for assessing neophytes or seekers, they call it seekers now. I keep saying the neophyte, but anyway. So I know for a fact that this didn't exist because of the way that I was taught on how to assess new people. So for me, that's very clear. And of course, you can wait, and it depends from person to person. If the person approaches you, there's no outer court, but if the person approaches you and say, it could take, just heard this, it could take either 2 years, 1 year, an hour, it depends on who the person is. Some people you actually know immediately that that person is good and should be given the opportunity to be initiated. And then, so this for me is it's how the craft always should resolve things, which is very organically, right? So there's no boxes where you put people in for amount of time, sometimes eternities, right? Because this is an experience that you had also, not yourself, but of somebody that stayed for years and years and then didn't go through.
And yes, I do. But before I talk about that, so where did outer court begin? That's my question. Did it begin in England? Did it begin with Gardnerians?
No.
Did it begin in the United States? Where, what country did it even begin in?
Once upon a time, in a country very far away. I mean, we don't know. We don't know. And I think it's an American invention. That's my guess. But
it sounds very American,
right? Yeah. But it's really it does seem like that, because I know historically the first Gardnerians in America didn't have an outer court, and I know that. So none of this existed in the 70s in America.
Yeah.
It began somewhere after that, and we don't really know, because this probably was a decision made by one coven that decided to make this a reality for whatever reasons. And we're going to talk about the reasons that could be why and why not. This is something that came about out of coven autonomy. Let's just do a group of people that are interested. We're really not sure, and let's just keep them and do some kind of open rituals for them. And then we'll see if they fit or not. So this probably started like this, very singular kind of way, and then probably was discussed with another one that thought, oh, this is a very good idea, we're going to do it as well. And then suddenly there's an epidemic.
Yeah. Yeah, no, truly, because then it's a contagion, right? So then it spreads.
People don't really have any other choice, because it became so generalized all over the United States that not every single coven, but almost every single coven does an outer court. And of course, seekers do not have a chance to choose from many covens that would not have outer court. So it's almost like, oh, it became traditional to have an outer court, which has nothing to do with traditional at all.
No.
Both Gardnerian and Alexandrian had nothing to do with traditional at all. So people would ask, and you always have to ask, can I join your group? And then, of course, you'll be assessed. Yes, you will be
Yes.
assessed. Of
Yes.
course, you will be assessed. And this could be done in various things, in soirees and here or there, whatever the circumstance may be. But you will never be put into a category of, and then this got out of control because now we have degrees in outer court as well.
No.
Oh,
That
yes.
exists?
Yes, dedicant, and then there's the dedicant of the and then they made up these things, right? So the dedicant, and then second dedicant, third dedicant. There's
Oh
this
my
whole,
God.
yeah. So I don't.
It sounds actually it sounds very Christian. There's like oblates and prelates and all these,
Yes.
right? All these different rankings.
What do you think is the reason why people insist on having outer courts today?
I'm hoping that it came from a good place, and probably that good place was regret, where you initiated someone you thought was going to be great, and then they turned out to be really horrible. And you wish you never went forward, and you wish you spent maybe more time with that individual. So I'm thinking this is the reason behind it, where you are testing that individual and just seeing, how patient they are. Can they wait? Are they really as dedicated as we need them to be? And then hopefully you'll be able to assess that and see if they're actually showing up to the meetings that you want them to show up with. And then if they're not, then that's easy. Well, I never initiated them, so now they're no longer my problem. And I can just say, you're not cut out for this.
Right.
That's what I'm thinking, right? Is why people set up on these outer courts, which actually sounds like a lot of work to me. It's almost like you're running two covens simultaneously.
Yes.
And then you're teaching your real coven, the real stuff, and then you're teaching your other coven, the outer court. Like, I don't know. I don't even know what you'd be teaching them, because everything is pretty much oath-bound.
And then it's like, oh, yeah, oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Is this the outer court or the? This is the outer. Oh, sorry. Okay, so just forget about that.
Yes, which happens. Which absolutely, I have personal experience of.
Oh my!
Being part of other covens and not knowing which coven they're in, and going, wait a minute, what do we do in this one?
That's another can of worms that
that's a whole other story.
We should open a whole other can of worms, because that's another one, right?
Yep.
An initiate can only belong to one coven at a time. So this actually, according to what we were taught, that the outer court goes against that, because basically the outer court is a coven, a mild, would you say mild coven?
Like coven light. It's also interesting is that you are like taking like responsibility for these individuals and their magical growth, but yet you're actually but you haven't initiated them. I don't. It's a weird. Do you understand what I mean?
For me, it looks like it's an easy betrayal. It's like, okay, so I am doing the work with these people, but if they do not do the minimum that I think that it is or should be, then I can quickly dismiss them.
Yes.
So for me, it's almost like I can betray them whenever I want, because they are not doing any oaths or anything. So I can just like kick them out without any repercussions, because very, very difficult, right? When you have to banish somebody from a coven.
Yes.
So I think that this is an easy way to actually assess people and see and say goodbye without the repercussions of lineage or whatever, or initiation into witchcraft. So, but then again, this is, for me, this is very, very personal in terms of my view of this, right? So I think it's laziness, for lack of a better word. I think they are being lazy, because what you should do, and this is according to not me only, but the teachings and evidence from, you should just be assessing the person and be capable of doing this very quickly.
Yes.
And this is something that is taught to you as well. So you have contact with seekers and neophytes, I call them, but, over the years, and you are in contact with them, you will be able to understand assessing the person. And this is not assessing, I like this chap because he's jolly and wonderful and fantastic, and and he happens to be in the same motorbike, that I am, but also, but beyond this. So this is a magical assessment. This is something that goes beyond the mundane assessment, because we are not assessing the person to be our friends. We're assessing the person to be priesthood. And if you're doing that correctly, you will do it very quickly. You don't need a lot of time. But some people actually, and I'm saying the assessment, right? Some people wait for their initiation because they have to. It can't be something either because they have to solve some things in their life, or they have to, the priesthood senses that they have to be a little bit more stable in their, whatever it is, the reason. Some of them are initiated right away, some of them are not. But the assessment of this person has to be immediate. You don't need to see the person in ritual. You don't need to see if the person comes or not come into every single. If it goes wrong, now what do you think about this? If it goes wrong, it goes wrong.
Yeah.
And it's a lesson for you and the person as well. Oh, but it's time that I spend, training the. Well, isn't that what you gave willingly and generously? So why are you now charging that in terms of it's my time? You shouldn't be saying those things because you are willing to give your time. So why are you now making a bill out of this, right? And it's really not, what it is about. So I think that there is no concern about magic here at all, or the very nature of this meeting with the neophyte, and see if the neophyte is actually somebody that is that should be initiated, right? So this is the thing. What I feel today is that people rely on personal things and compatibilities, social compatibilities, rather than magical. And they're going to say no. We're magical. We also assess that. What do you think?
In an outer court, sometimes to me, I look at it as like a doctor's waiting room where you can just wait there forever for your appointment, which you've already been there, right, for a long time. And I think or like an airplane, right, circling the airport, just waiting to land. And I think it can be you're leading seekers on in some regard. And I know from personal experience, at least one individual who was literally in outer court for 3 years with no prospect, truly, because, you hear the Coven speak. So therefore, with no prospect of them getting initiated. So why would you ever, right, do that? And obviously not every high priesthood is not going to run their outer court like this. This is just one.
Hold on a second. So you're saying that this person stayed in the outer court, and the priesthood who run that outer court knew that they were never going to be initiating this person. However, they kept the person for 3 years, leading them that they probably would?
Yes.
Goodness.
That is what I am saying. So, and yes, there's more to it, which I won't go into, but there's more to it. Yes, but no prospect, right, for this person to enter the Coven for which they were in its outer court. Absolutely. Which is terrible, right, to do that to that individual. And I cannot agree with you more, Karagan, about this speaks to honestly the magical and psychic abilities of your priesthood. When a seeker approaches you, it's like by email, and then maybe you have a telephone conversation, but I think that's getting even more rare. But then when you meet that individual, instantly, at least I do, instantly whether or not they are suitable for priesthood. And when you know that they're not suitable for priesthood, you don't continue, right? You don't continue with that individual, and then you very nicely say not now. Versus if there is somebody and instantly, oh yeah, this make a good priest, make a good priestess. Then a little courting does happen, at least with me, where you meet a few more times. You speak on other occasions, and then you find out exactly what you were saying, what's happening in their life. Is it a good time for them to be initiated? But for me, at that point, I already know, right? I already know that they will be, and then it just becomes a point of when is the best time for them to be initiated.
This is what the frame of mind of the priesthood should be when they are meeting with somebody that are asking for initiation. It should be on this person ability or capabilities of or potential. That's a better word. The potential that this person has of being priest or priestess, of being good priest or priestess, or doing, do they have vocation? This should be their aim, not anything else. Do I like them personally or not? Do I have anything in common with them? Whatever it is. Then I think that this is what it should be. But what I think there is here, there's a couple of other things that I think that we should mention. The first one is that people want to collect initiates.
Yes, they do.
More, right? So
Numbers.
The more initiates I have in my coven, the more powerful I am, and the more recognized I will be, because I have a coven of 20. And of course, because of this, people go into these meetings and they want to collect people, and they will say, they won't go in looking at the magical, they will go in looking at the mundane. Does this person has anything in common? Do I like them? Do I like them the way they behave? There is
common interests. Yeah, absolutely.
Common interests. So very social mind frame rather than magical. Then the other thing is, well, this is not sufficient. Let's create a group that I can automatically collect these people. And of course, I can choose them, but my choice is going to be less rigorous than in a coven. And then I don't have the responsibilities as I do with people that are already initiated. Let's do that and call it out of court.
Yeah. But the thing is that you are establishing a responsibility to these individuals.
You are.
A false one.
Yes.
Which is detrimental to them.
Right.
And what do you teach? And I absolutely agree, right? So therefore, initiation is not based on, we like the same jingles and we like the same movies. This is about priesthood. I would really love to know what they're learning. So what are these people, these seekers in outer court, what are they learning? And how is that going to help them or apply to when and if they are actually initiated?
We hope that these people are not teaching them any craft-related material. Because if they are, even if it is a modified version of it, they're breaking their oath. Because even if it is resembling, now we have to begin to think about this very clearly and very, very straightforward. What are they? They're there doing what? What is the purpose of it? Oh, it's to see if they're disciplined enough. It's to see if they're fit within the group. If they, this became a trip to the mall. So it became a trip to the mall, to all of the mundane that a trip to the mall has. You go in your sweaters and your
pants.
Then you just enter in, and then you go into calls, and then you just try clothes so that you see if it fits or not. I mean, unfortunately, I think that the craft has become a little bit deviated from the magic. And some groups have lost it altogether, I think. and kind of it's a shame because so many good people are in these groups and they have no other choice than, for instance, where they live, this group has this outer court. There's no other choice, so they have to integrate this outer court and subject to years of whatever, and then get into this collective of nothingness, learning something that, because for me, this is reinventing the craft. You are reinventing another piece of the craft before the whole thing has to be done, which is after initiation. We don't train people before initiation. That was never something that was done. That was happening after the initiation, and there's no training before.
Yeah, because you're with outer court, you're actually creating a whole other system.
They're modifying the craft because they're adding whatever it is to whatever. And then that thing gets very muddled, right? So it's just, it's very strange. What is it? What are they doing? Are they doing the same exact thing? Or, oh no, it's modified, but it's almost the same. Do you know what I mean? So where is the separation here between you are actually breaking your oath, or
the mundane has so infiltrated and penetrated the modern craft. And I think a lot of social and cultural changes that have happened now in the 2000s and the world that we live in, like those rules and regulations have been transferred to craft practice in the sense of, for example, a lot of our seekers are coming from being solitary, right? Or a lot of our seekers are coming from, maybe they've gone to one or two open circles. And then is outer court some like intermediary, like baby steps? Like, well, let's see if they like group practice. Well, let's see if they do take authority. Let's see if it's all very childish and infantilizing. And I think that, like, where are the adults in the room? I'm gonna get. I think puppets are going to be made of me. Us. In the negative.
Have been done for years.
Oh, yes, exactly. But do you understand what I mean by that?
Yeah.
It's all this is like, well, put your toe in the water, and is it too hot for you? Is it too cold for you?
Like, that's the other thing. That's the other thing. It's like, can we provide a space of testing to see if the person likes it? And this actually gave rise to a very, very special, person who is the person, and this is more America than anywhere else, right? Which is the person that requires the horrendous amount of accommodations to whatever they have. I can't be in the room because incense I have asthma. I can't really breathe too much incense. I can't have pets around me because I will have respiratory whatever. I can't drink wine because I'm a recovering alcoholic. I can't run too much because I will get dizzy. I am not fit to dance because of my weight. All of these things became a reality in the way that the practice of the craft is done today, especially in the United States. Don't you agree?
Especially in the United States. And this goes to my point of like the mundane, profane world's rules and regulations have infiltrated the craft. And that world is not part of our sacred circle of witchcraft. We operate with a whole different system of rules, which can be offensive probably to many people. I think we still very much operate with a 1970s, maybe 1980s, 80s mentality. And I don't cater to people's narcissism because it's just a form of control. If you can't take incense or if you can't take perfumes, and this is not the religion for you. This is not the circle, right? My circle is not for you. If you need to have your therapy dog with you for anxiety, then this is probably not the religion for you because you're going to be very anxious in circle and performing magic. This is like know thyself, right? You need to know thyself and whether or not you can actually do this. If you don't like to be touched and everyone must ask you to be ask permission, this is all about consent. Ask permission for you to be touched. And I'm not talking about pawing someone. I'm not talking about, touching a person inappropriately, but if you don't like to have your hand held or touched on the shoulder or kissed, then this is probably not the religion for you. And if you don't like to be looked at, as because there are people, please don't look at me. Well, this is not a religion for you. This is not a spectator. This is not a spectator sport, right? This is something that is incredibly active, incredibly performative, and probably for many people, very subversive, because we do not operate by these bizarre 21st century, oftentimes American rules of conduct and consent in this way.
Let me just give a little parenthesis here on looking, because I think that it's essential for people to understand this. Don't stare, right? So that's the thing.
Yeah.
Don't stare to people. Don't stare. Those who say don't stare clearly do not know the magic. Because if they did know how magical it is, a look and the interlocking of eyes.
Yeah.
It is very important in magic. But if, clearly, if you're saying to the person, don't stare, and of course, this is a practice probably that they were talking about in outer court, not in inner court. Did you know that they have now shorts for this? It's OC and C.
I see. OC and IC. It's just so, Karagan, I can't take it. Get me off the planet. It's time. Like, seriously, why does everything have to be an acronym? Like, it's
an acronym. And
right, it's just so 2020. It's just so 21st century. It's just bizarre.
It's very bizarre, and it's very corporate, and it's very
mundane.
It's very mundane. It could be more mundane than this. I mean, wow. And looking at other people, you should be looking, because one of the things that I was taught, actually, as you, was consciousness in circle. You should be looking. Somebody, everybody should be very conscious of what is happening in the circle at all times, but allowing yourself to get into it. This is why training is very important, because you need to be allowing yourself to navigate the currents of magic, but at the same time have consciousness all the time in the circle. This requires years of training. And of course, people don't speak about this. This is just, don't stare to the lady just because the lady has a beautiful caftan. This is just ridiculous. I can't. I don't have any other word. I can't.
And again, it's this corporate mentality, like literally corporate business, private industry mentality that has now infiltrated the craft. I want you to stare at my beautiful caftan because beauty is important, or at least it should be, right? In our circle, it should be a feast. Shouldn't it be a feast for the eyes?
Yes. And also, not only the eyes, all of the senses, right? So the smells, everything should be. And if you are in an Alexandrian circle, are you really going to whine about the incense?
Seriously, that's the joke. The joke of Alexandrian is like, oh, they just use more incense. Yeah,
we
do.
Very good one, by the way.
And then imagine, no, I can't breathe in incense.
Well, you just lost the opportunity of taking advantage of a very powerful technique of magic.
Yeah. Well, I guess, are these the things that people are like high priesthood? Or are these the things that high priesthood are looking for in outer court? For these issues to arise? Because I guess if these, I try to do this, when I'm meeting with.
I'm waiting for the day that, when people. I don't know if it is because I'm from Portugal, but do you know when people in America do a potluck and then they put the table and then they put all of these tags in everything saying, carefully, has nuts in it, with da-da-da-da-da, doing all of those things. And then exactly what you're eating.
Yes.
to, really to the detail of ridiculousness. I'm imagining people doing that in a temple. Like, no, careful, this is the circle. You're going to the circle.
Oh my gosh.
You know,
Exactly. Like, this is
it's
a
the
play by
incense.
play.
This
We
is.
are now going to hold hands. Is everyone comfortable with holding hands?
And then I'm
Let's
thinking,
take a vote.
can I hold your hand? Can I hold your hand? Can I hold your hand? Can I hold your hand?
Yeah.
Going around.
We're making fun, right? We're making fun, but I totally understand. There are people in this world that have trauma and have this and that, right? Terrible things that have happened to them, which therefore they don't want to hold someone's hand. I get it. Like, that absolutely exists. I am not making fun of that, to be clear. What I am just saying is that then the craft might not be the religion for you if you have these kinds of issues.
Let me just say this. In the craft, you have to be able to breathe in incense. You have to be able to dance. You have to be able to hold hands and to be kissed and kiss other people. You have to be able to drink wine. You have to be able to do all of these things. And unfortunately or fortunately, this is a questionnaire that I actually asked everyone that asked for initiation from our coven, because I want to make sure that people know this. Because nowadays it's like, oh, but I can't because I'm asthmatic, or I can't because I'm this and that. And we really do use a lot of incense, and for a reason. Discussing the reasons here, but it's magical. It's magical. So it's not really something that it's just because I like good smells. So there is no. I even think about this. Do these people actually look at anything magical in the candidates for the? I mean, do they even think about that? Because it looks like the description of all of these rules and all of these things that they do put in, that they are in admitting people in a Tupperware meeting.
Wow. Yeah.
Right? Because it's like, okay, so we're in this meeting. Please don't bring your dog, or please bring your dog if you feel anxious. Please don't. We're not ready. We're gonna, kill all of the scented candles because you are an asthmatic. All of these things. And I get it. I mean, I get it. These people have problems. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But don't say that to. So can you just say that to a priest in the Catholic Church? Sorry, I can't. I'm an asthmatic. I have like terrible asthma. Can't be in the church. What are they going to do?
No, exactly. Is the Eucharist gluten free? Because I can't take the Eucharist if it's not, or it's like the gluten free line versus this one has gluten line.
Non-alcoholic. Well, the wine is
wine, right? Like, I know. It's just, and it's like, exactly. It's like, then that is not a practice. There's many different practices out there.
Yeah, just do it without incense. And good luck. Do it without incense and good luck.
And good luck. Yeah, because then you're not doing it.
No, I think that there is a limit for these things. And of course, there are certain etiquettes that you have to have with people. But I think that etiquette in the craft, it's actually based on, and it's nothing more than just good manners. That's all.
Yeah.
And this ridiculousness of outer court should be stopped right away. And people should just stop doing it and carry on with their own initiations. And if it is a mistake, it is a mistake, and carry on with it.
Yeah. I really do not see like the positive purpose of the outer court. And you should be of a mind where you are able to tell upon meeting a seeker whether or not this individual is ready or is not ready for initiation.
And some of the things that we say here, for instance, the person has asthma, the person has, anxiety, or the person has this or that. This is not the coven for you, or this is not the religion for you, but this is not the coven for you because we want to make sure that you're not harmed.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean? If the person has asthma, please don't come, because you will be having an asthma attack. I'm not going to modify my circle because of that. because there is other people here who will enjoy the incense, and the craft needs the incense.
Yeah.
It's one of the things that we use. But if you can't, so this is just so that we are clear. We're saying that maybe this is not for you because we do not want you to get in any harm. So we're not going to modify what we do for you, but we will tell you that it's better not, because we will. Oh, but can't we? No, we can't. No.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sacrifice my experience of the craft and other people's experience of the craft because you can't.
No.
I get it. This sounds a little bit, what is it? Cruel, maybe?
Harsh.
Harsh. But the thing is that we're not politically correct. The craft was never politically correct.
No.
It became politically correct, which I think that actually is the reason why we lost so much magic.
Yeah.